Hey there, my name's Gary Sims and this is Gary Explains. Now, Apple and Epic Games are locked in their own battle royale about in-app purchases. And when you read on social media and some of the articles on the internet, people are either very much for Apple or very much for Epic Games. Now, is one of them a bully? Is the other one being foolish? Well, if you want to find out more, please let me explain. So what's basically happened is that Epic Games released a version of Fortnite that allows you to make purchases for all the virtual things you need to buy inside of Fortnite using Epic servers, Epic's transaction processing, which means that Apple doesn't get any of the money and it's not using Apple's in-app purchasing services. However, you can also still continue to use Apple's in-app purchasing services. You get the option, but of course the Apple one is more expensive, so the attractive option is to use Epic's version. Now, as a result of that, Apple removed Fortnite from its store. In fact, so did Google. And then Epic decided to sue Apple, saying it has a monopoly over the iOS, over iPhones, and if you don't do things the way that Apple dictate, then you are kicked out of the store, which is actually what happened. And then 12 hours after that, Apple said, well, in that case, then we're going to terminate all of your accounts and you can just leave our system completely. Bye-bye, we don't have anything more to do with you. To which case then Epic started another court case saying they can't do that to us. So there's lots of toing and throwing. So let's read some of the statements that have been made. So this was the tweet that Epic put out. Apple removed Fortnite from the App Store and has informed Epic on Friday, August 28th, it will terminate our developer accounts and cut Epic off from iOS and Mac development tools. We are asking the court to stop this retaliation. So first of all, what's happened is that they're calling it retaliation, basically because of this whole Fortnite thing. And then the first lawsuit, they're saying Apple is basically now being a big child and throwing its toys out of the pram and saying, well, in that case, then you can't, they're calling it retaliation. They're in fact saying Apple are being vindictive. Now, it depends on who you ask. Do you think Apple is a vindictive company? Some people say, oh, no, it's lovely, it's furry, it's wonderful. Other people, maybe you should ask Imagination Technology. Maybe they have a different point of view. Now, Apple have also posted a statement, a reply to Epic's tweet, which says this: the App Store is designed to be a safe and trusted place for users and a great business opportunity for all developers. Epic has been one of the most successful developers on the App Store, growing into a multi-billion-dollar business that reaches millions of iOS customers around the world. We very much want to keep the company as part of the Apple developer program and their apps in the store. The problem Epic has created for itself is one that easily can be remedied if they submit an update of their app that reverts to comply with the guidelines they agree to, which apply to all developers. We won't make an exception for Epic because we don't think it's right to put their business interests ahead of the guidelines that protect all customers. So basically, Apple's point of view is, well, you've been doing this up until now you've broken the guidelines. Everybody else has to stick to the guidelines. You're not special. If you don't want to stick to the guidelines, if you want to play a different game, if you want to do things differently, then you feel free to do that, but just not here. Now, that would all be well and true if there was an alternative. But this is the sticking point here. The App Store for iOS is the only way to get apps onto an iPhone. And there are some good reasons for that, which we'll talk about in a second. But you have to remember, as the famous quote goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, you see, in a democracy, any kind of democracy, where people have a chance to change things, then there is no fear of dictatorship. So if we take a country, for example, I'm talking politics now, for example, but if you take a country where there is a dictatorship, they can create a law, and then when you break that law, they say you're under arrest, you're going to do prison time because we created the law, and that law might be completely unjust, might be completely immoral, might be completely unfair, but because there is a dictatorship, it doesn't matter. So you say, but you've got to you've got to adhere to our guidelines. Yes, but if those guidelines aren't fair, then it becomes a dictatorship. Now, Apple is a dictatorship when it comes to iOS. It is the sole guardian of how apps can get onto the iPhone, and therefore it can create whatever laws, whatever guidelines it wants, and then it can easily say, well, you don't apply to our guidelines, you get out. It's a dictator. There's no democracy, there's no way of actually coming back, no feedback, no checking, no actual way to make sure what it's doing is fair. It is 100% dictatorship. So as Apple said at the beginning of that statement, the App Store is designed to be a safe and trusted place. And what that means is it's a walled garden. It's protected. You can't just put anything in there. And there are lots of advantages to that. For example, security being one of them. You can't just submit an app to Apple's App Store and then it's got virus in it, it steals your banking information, it does whatever, tries to encrypt all your files and ransomware. Apple check all that stuff to the best of anybody's ability. It takes several days for an app to be approved to make sure that it's not doing anything like that. Again, for privacy, make sure that it's not stealing information and uploading it to some server that you don't expect all your data and photos and everything to be uploaded to outside of what you've agreed to, maybe let's say with Apple's backup services. And it also helps keep illegal things out of the App Store. So there are lots and lots of things that are immoral and illegal, and Apple say, well, you can't have those apps obviously in our store. You can't have an app that will allow you to buy something you're not allowed to buy, allow you to see things you're not allowed to see, that allows you to connect with people you're not allowed to connect with because they are illegal or immoral. And we're talking big things like terrorism or something like that. So of course this is a good thing. So you've got safety, you've got security, you've got privacy, that they've built up this walled garden that is a safe area for people to stay in. And that's fine. In fact, Google have a very similar thing, although their Google system isn't as front end heavy as Apple's. Google also have a system that checks their apps. Some of it's automated, some of it done by people, and it's more retrospective, so apps can get in there quicker, but actually they can get taken down within just a few days if Google see. And so again, you're not allowed to post apps that do illegal things or malware or have security issues, and Google will detect that, again, to the best of their ability and kick those apps out. So it's a general idea that you want the App Store to be a safe place, whether it's on whatever platform it's on. And that isn't Epic's problem. They haven't got a problem with it being a store that is protected and safe and trusted on Google or on iOS. The problem comes down to in-app purchases. So in in-app purchases, you want to buy something virtual, in this case something to do with Fortnite, and you pay real money. And at the moment, the payment processor for that is Apple or Google, and they are the sole payment processor. You're not allowed to offer an alternative. And so what happens is that because you're paying Apple in this case, Apple say, great, we've processed the credit card, we've done all the transaction stuff, we've verified the purchase, and to do that, we're going to take a 30% cut. Now, some people say 30% cut is okay. They might point to other stores, to other systems that also take an equal amount of cut. But the point is that you can only do it via Apple service. And what, of course, Epic have done is they provide an alternative. And the moment they provide an alternative, Apple have said, no, you can't do that. You've got to get out of here. So why are in-app purchases a problem? Because this is the thing, they've made it part of the walled garden. Apple have made it part of the walled garden, saying, but you're inside this store, you have to do everything inside the store. But really, is that the way it should be? Because if you look at it from a security point of view, assuming that it's not actually ever downloading anything new once you've actually, put in your credit card details, assuming that actually it is able to just continue functioning, all you've done is bought virtual goods, there's no security implications. Now, there are payment processing implications, but payment processing is something that all these companies do outside of Apple all the time. In fact, you can use your banking apps on your iOS phone, and that's doing much, much more than just payment processing. It's exposing all of your personal financial details, and you can use those apps inside of the store, and Apple have got no problem with that at all. And so why wouldn't they allow someone else to do payment processing, especially it must not be downloading anything else, it's just purchasing a virtual good. And this isn't the first time it's happened. You can't buy Kindle ebooks using the iOS version of the app. So I have a Kindle, I can buy books from the store using my Kindle. I have an Android phone, I have Android tablets, I can buy books via that tablet. I can go to the website, I can buy books, but if I open up the iOS app, I can't. Because Apple are saying you must do all payment processing through Apple. You can't do it inside the app onto another payment, and that's ridiculous because Amazon, for example, process millions and millions of dollars of transactions probably like every single day, and now Apple are saying, oh no, you can't do that, you can only do it through us. Now that's called a monopoly and a dictatorship. Since we're talking about 3D games, I also want to mention this deal that there is here. Pay what you want for the Master Game Development Bundle, 77 hours of tutorials, which is multi-platform, including Unity and Unreal. Okay, and we look down here, there's Java, there's HTML5, there's lots of different things. So if you're into 3D gaming, or you want to get into 3D gaming in terms of development, write your own games, learn about it, then this could be the bundle just for you. And if you buy it through the link that will be in the description, you also help out this channel. Okay, let's carry on. Another famous case is that Netflix stopped offering subscription via in-app purchases. So if you want to watch Netflix, you can subscribe via a web browser on your iPhone, you can go on your desktop, you can go elsewhere and subscribe, but you can't do the subscription itself through the app because Apple would insist that you have to do it through their payment system, which again is just a dictatorship because again, Netflix processes millions of dollars of transactions all the time. It's not downloading any extra executables onto the device. It's not doing anything other than just taking payments not through Apple's system. So again, Apple are trying to be a monopoly and say no, only payments through us. And that's where the whole issue is. Now, another argument people put forward is that Apple is providing, you know, all the infrastructure, lots of servers, and they're maintaining the software, and of course they're maintaining everything for these apps to be built. So it's only fair that Apple gets some kind of reward. Now, that's true in some part, but not really. So first of all, let's consider the idea that there was no app store at all, and that Apple didn't need to maintain any kind of server, didn't need to maintain any kind of software development kit, didn't mean to maintain any kind of developer support whatsoever. Well, there'd be no iPhone. Basically, nobody would be buying it and it would now be dead. So actually having apps actually enhances the platform, and that was one of the failings that we had with Microsoft's attempt at Windows Phone. Basically, there wasn't the app developer support, and therefore the platform died. And also, let's not forget that actually every developer needs to pay a fee annually to Apple just for the right to be able to put apps in the App Store, even free apps. So if you put a free app in the App Store, you need to pay annually for the privilege to do that. And also don't forget there are lots of apps that are free and they have advertising in them. That advertising is actually supplied by a different company, not by Apple. So Apple make no money whatsoever off those apps, and they might get downloaded in their absolute millions and not a single penny goes to Apple. And Apple are fine with that. Why are they fine with that? Because it enhances the platform. If you can't get the latest whatever game it is, you know, on iOS that's ad supported because they're not using Apple's ads, well, that would detract from iOS itself. So did Epic break Apple's terms and conditions? Absolutely it did. There's no doubt about that. Epic can't suddenly say, oh, we didn't know about this. They know that what they've done has broken Apple's terms and conditions, and it's broken Google's terms and conditions likewise. Now that's not actually the dispute. So it isn't a shock that there are these court cases going on because they know exactly what they're doing. The question is, are those terms and conditions fair? Are those terms and conditions a monopoly imposed by Apple? Now, the difference between Apple and Android in this case is that, of course, there are alternatives on Android. So if we look at some famous ones, Amazon, of course, have got its own app store. So if you buy a Kindle device, you can download apps and those come from Amazon store. Now with the whole Huawei ban, Huawei have their own store. In many parts of the world, there are alternative stores that are used rather than Google Play. So they all exist. And in fact, you could download Fortnite directly from Epic servers onto your Android device, install it and start playing it. So on the Google side of things, maybe, you know, a lot of the things I've said about walled gardens apply to Google and apply to how they do their in-app purchases, but at least there are alternatives. On the iPhone side, there are no alternatives. If you don't stick to Apple's rules, it's zip, zero, zilch, you're gone. You're out of here, 3 strikes, you're gone, don't come back. And that's a very big difference. That is completely a dictator's view of the world. So Apple is a technology dictator. Now, I'm sure lots of you will disagree with me, and for many, many different reasons, and that's absolutely fine. But this won't be decided by me, and it won't be decided by you. It will be decided in the courts, and they will look at Apple's business practices, they will look at Epic's business practices, they will look at probably Google's business practices, they will look at things like Netflix and Kindle and all the history around in-app purchases. And at some point there will be a decision. Will it come soon? Well, probably not. There may be some quick decisions about whether Epic lose all their developer accounts or not, but this is a long-term battle and we're going to see what happens. Okay, that's it. My name's Gary Sims. This is Gary Explains. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you like these kind of videos, well, why not stick around by subscribing to the channel? Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.